Okay.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to Earthbound
Conversation
with Lindsay.
and Sharon.
Hello, 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 hello. Welcome back. Welcome back. We're happy to have you again today. And you have tuned in. And today we are going to talk about
Instant gratification.
All right. Well, I guess I'll start out this time. How about that?
Okay.
So, we want to talk about instant gratification. We live in a microwave society, and we like to get things done quickly and fast. And we are used to that as a society. Like, ooh, what can I get? Let's just kind of grab it in. Let's zero it in.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's releasing weight, what's the quickest way to get the weight off? Do I want to go surgery wise? Do I want to go pill wise? Do I want to overwork out?
Mm-hmm.
Am I under eating? Just a lot of things that we do. Or if we are working on a project or opening up a business, and I tend to find that sometimes when we rush things because we want that instant gratification,
Mm-hmm.
we miss out on so many important details. So sometimes slow really does mean fast.
Mm-hmm.
And let's have you elaborate on more of maybe a situation or how you find that we operate in society with instant gratification.
Yeah, I think like the biggest one that we do a lot of the times, I think it's a lot of times about like dopamine. We become very dopamine addicted as a society, especially as social media has gotten more prominent. We want the likes, we want the comments, we want to scroll and keep seeing like, what will feed our mind. We'll stay on social media for hours, and that's a way of instant gratification. As well, like you said, with projects, when we're working on stuff, or when we're sometimes starting a new skill, we want to be automatically good.
Yes.
Instead of going down the journey of with trial and error. Like I know for myself I don't talk a lot about how I like to paint, but I've always not wanted to because I'm not good at it naturally, like how my mom is, because she's just naturally really good at drawing and painting, and that's never been natural for me. And so it's made me not want to, even though I love to.
Yes.
And so I really want to instantly be good at it instead of pushing through taking art classes, learning more about like techniques, how to use different mediums. And instead I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it because I don't get that gratification of just being phenomenal and right now. And so as well as somebody, definitely when I was younger, they had diagnosed and said I have ADHD, which is very common for people who have ADHD or certain things like that, where because you're low on certain receptors in your brain, you look for things that give you instant gratification, like sugar, like, different foods or video games.
That's right. Or, something that just kind of gets your adrenaline going. Like you could be an adrenaline junkie. You like everything to be kind of fast paced because you like that process of not having to wait. I think sometimes that gratification part is perseverance and patience with yourself and others. And as any skill, gift, or talent, some of the best people that we get to model and admire, they will tell you it happened over time. They had many hiccups in the road, and it's just like sometimes we want the glory and what other people have, and we don't know what it is that they're going through to get to that point. You don't know about their sleepless nights. You don't know about them and tireless meetings. Like when you look at someone who's very successful, it's like, what's happening behind the scenes to make this person who's in the limelight great?
Yes, absolutely. And also, I think talking about that, somebody who may have like worked towards that, they're like an overnight success. They don't get to see the years that it did take, and that's what makes it worth it at the end too, because you persevered through it. You went through the tough times, you learned many lessons, and you're at that point of I've reached the destination, but it's all that was behind it that made it really worth it and gratifying in the end. Because if you just got it like that, you're like, oh, okay, Like it's not as satisfying.
It's
almost.
not as, no, it's not rewarding at all. And it's like, you're on to the next thing. It's like, okay, well, whatever to that type of thing. Or, oh, I finally got it. Oh, that's what it looks like. And so I think that when we start to really zero in on things being so instant, we just want more and more, and we become greedy, and then we start taking, when they say it's enough for everybody, when we have someone who's being greedy and pulling and taking, it's that balance and knowing that, okay, I've persevered through this. I know that the reward is at the end, because some of us have been working and toiling at things or feeling discouraged, like, well, I've been at this for a long time. When is my breakthrough going to come through? And you hear many people say, just when I was about to give up, all of a sudden that big rainbow came up and everything just fell into place. Like, thank you, God. I'm so grateful. And, I even look at personal work that I've done with myself. It's like, I'm so grateful that I stuck it out, that, I didn't take the advice of others and do what they think I should have done, because they operate in instant gratification. And we all do it. And it's something we have to be mindful of. Is going back to some of the videos we've said about finding balance. Yeah. Balance and boundaries, even with yourself. It's just like, okay, well, if I starve myself and I eat this amount of calories and I work out like you're counting it to the T, my body should do this. Well, hello, if you put on 40 pounds, you didn't put them on overnight. It took days and habits and patterns of sabotaging and not being mindful and not being present that happened. Or it's like, well, I have to make this money really fast. What are your spending habits and patterns like around money? Yeah. Those are things that we have to think about. Is if I could just get myself out of this situation, well, what is it that you're doing that's even causing that you need that instant gratification? And slow and steady really wins the race. And it's not that we can't do some things fast. However, I find that when we want that instant gratification and we want it done quickly, we usually have to end up going back and doing it all over again. Yeah, because you make some hiccups or make some poor choices and decisions. I was listening the other day, like I had told you, to Jordan Belfort. People might know him because of like his story of the Wolf of Wall Street. But he was talking about if he just would have delayed his gratification, he wouldn't have went to jail. He wouldn't have got in trouble. Like, that's kind of more the extreme side of it. But still, he had to pay the consequences later. That's right. And he wanted the money right then. He wanted the millions right then, and he ended up cutting corners, not making great decisions. Really messing up a lot of things in life to get to the money and the fast life that he wanted, instead of going about it the way of like, let me do the right thing, let me make the right decisions, let me make this money honestly too. And we don't think about that. We just think in the moment, I want it now. We're having, like how we talked about a few moments ago, tunnel vision. Instead of seeing the bigger picture of, I'm planting these seeds today. And so one day they can sprout and grow. That's right. And watering them and being consistent with it, instead of like that's just not how Mother Nature works. That's right. But we're wanting to operate outside of what nature does. Even when it comes to our own lives. We don't see ourselves as a part of that law. We're like, no, we're excluded. That's right. And then, you find there's times when you had the instant gratification, you're not as pleased. You're not as pleased with the results or the outcome. And it's like, well, let me try a different way. So we're also searching outside of ourselves a lot, or we're seeing what other people have. And it's like, I want that too. So it's just like if you're an up and coming artist and you look at somebody like, Patti LaBelle, and you're like, oh, she's amazing at what she does, or whatever singer or artist or whoever you're into. And it's just like, but I can do that in 2 weeks, or I can do that in 2 years, and I'll be better than this person, and I'll have this many views. But how authentic, and what is the quality of your work? And have you burned bridges? And how do you handle people who are helping you to reach success? You know what I mean? Exactly. It's just like now
a lot of the times I've noticed like the shift in artists, like how we are. It seems like a lot of the work isn't as how it used to be in the days of like Motown.
Yes.
How they really groomed them for years and years to perfect the act. But if you notice, a lot of times we're having a lot of K-pop artists come in and they're like, oh, they came out of nowhere overnight. But they didn't know that they had to go through 5 years of vocal training, 5 years of choreography, knowing how to dance, knowing how to work the stage.
Yes.
They don't get to see that. And they're wondering, why are these Korean artists so good?
Yes.
And it's like, because they are working them really hard. They are consistent.
Yes.
They're not just singing, they're dancing, they're full on, they're helping with the songs. They're doing a lot. And people think that, you know, they're just talented, they're just natural like that. It's like, but if you probably would have saw them 5 years ago, you'd be like, oh no, how are they gonna make it?
That's right. That's right. And that's what anything, any skill, trade, any gift that you may have. You know, I have people ask me, you know, did you go to school for what you do? You know, the spiritual side of it. I said, no, it's as a natural gift on my mother and father's side. It's that gift of prophecy and having that spirit of discernment. However, I did find other teachers to train and study under that helped me to understand what I was experiencing and how to apply it to my life and to make sense of it, and then to be able to coach and teach other people in that respect. And so I always say, God send me my next teacher, who's my next teacher. And a lot of times, because I love reading books, you know, self-help books, personal growth books, a lot of times I find very helpful stuff and I'm like, oh, well, I can apply that to my life. And in the studying and being able to then place it into my own life and then kind of minister and coach it into other people's life, that's a reward in itself. I had a client say to me after she had body work done, what do you get out of this? I said, watching someone's life change before my eyes and learning to really be patient with the process. And that's another thing about instant gratification. Sometimes you do something for somebody or you give a service and you want them to praise you and say, oh, you were so great. And we don't learn to be humble and vulnerable and learn to really let people flush out their own experience, or even being open to criticism instead of saying, oh, I'm so great, nobody's ever complained about this. Leaving room also for criticism so that you can become better instead of taking it personal. And I feel like when we're dealing in instant gratification, you just want all the praises, you want all the likes, and sometimes that's where that depression and anxiety again comes in, is, oh, how many likes am I getting? Oh, do these people like me? Or you read one bad comment and you think your whole life is over. It's okay. There's somebody for everybody. Not everybody's going to like you or your style or the way you do it. That's why I always say it's enough of us for everybody, no matter what service or what it is you do in the world. It could be 2,000 and you doing the same thing, but you all have something unique about you, or there are certain people who are drawn to you. And so that's what I learned about gratification versus instant gratification. You let it come to you, the experiences you're supposed to have, and being grateful for the people that are in your life and how that process comes about. And I always say my business kind of ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's my post-lipo people. Sometimes it's people who are needing spiritual counseling or mediumship, or they're needing a combo of things, or they just want body work that, you know, they've been working out or whatever it is. Or when people ask me who I am, though we have to have titles in this world, I always say I'm whoever I need to be to the person in front of me. And I say, God, please work through me, speak through me. I don't know what they need, but you know what they need. And I'm not saying I'm a self-proclaimed doctor or anything like that. I just allow God to really divinely operate and work through me. And that in itself is very gratifying. And sometimes it's very uncomfortable because you don't know what to expect. But when we move too fast, we miss the mark sometimes. We miss the lesson in it all. So what else would you say based on your personal experiences?
I definitely say as well, playing around with doing activities that are kind of, I don't want to say delayed gratification. I'll just say from personal experience, I've kind of made like a list of things that are more satisfying than just scrolling on my phone. And so, when I feel like I'm stressed and I want to do something to take my mind off of it, I'm like, let me not go to my phone. What can I do? It's like, well, I've bought like many things. Like I have an automaton, and if you don't know what that is, look it up. It's very interesting. But it's a synthesizer. So I'll play that for a little bit, because playing an instrument is a way to get gratification, but it's instant. You're playing around with it. You're kind of tuning with it. You may not be the best at it right away, but it feels good for that progression. I'll color, I'll draw, I'll paint, I'll meditate. I'll maybe listen to a podcast instead. I kind of do that at home, because Sharon always kind of says, like, what you do at home shows out what you do in the world.
It does.
And so I kind of have rehabbed how dopamine addicted I've been as a person.
Yes. And
as well, having times where you're even off of your phone. I've been scheduling where I turn my phone off for usually on Sundays, or have it on airplane mode. And at least one day a week, or a couple hours in a week, where you turn off and shut off and, allow yourself to be in reality and be in the moment.
Being present. I totally agree. And that is a great way to explain it, because I find coloring to be very relaxing. Sometimes for me, just going out for a walk in nature and disconnecting and really kind of grounding myself, like, okay, what are the messages I need to hear? Because sometimes when we're in that instant gratification mode, we are seeking answers in outside places, when we really just have to sit and go within and learn to listen to our angels, our guides, to God speaking to us, instead of, oh, let me go get a reading here somewhere. Oh, let me go follow someone else and see what they're doing. Oh, let me get on YouTube and watch this video. It's just like, a lot of times when people want to tune in, they're like, well, how do you know this? I'm like, well, all you have to do is pay attention. Really, the psychology, all you have to really do is pay attention to people's body language, how they're speaking, if they're fully present or if they're disheveled. So I think that when we take a look and review our own lives, we can say, what areas are we wanting instant gratification, knowing that it's a process and it takes time, and what lessons can we learn from the things that we've rushed through? And a little bit of homework there is sit down and write down instant gratification for you, and gratification, and how that makes you feel, and how it's helped in your personal growth, or how it's debunked to you in your growth. We thank you for tuning in.
Yes, thank you so much for today. If you liked the video, please like, share, and subscribe.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
We hope you have an awesome day. Go outside, get some nature, like get in touch with life.
And be fully present.
Yes. All right, bye.
Bye for now.